What's up, everybody? Good morning, wherever you are. This is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. It's about 10:40 a.m. We're starting about 10 minutes late, but this is episode 50, the big 50 of Simon and AKDI movie reviews, and I'm here with my beautiful wife. Say hi, boo.
Hi everyone, I'm AKDI and I'm from Turkey, and we're reviewing Animatrix
Let,
today.
let's go. Let's go. You're my favorite person to talk to. You know that?
Aw, so are you. You're
Yes,
mine too.
I love doing these. One day when I'm long gone, you're going to listen to these and be like, his takes were horrible.
Don't say that. You're not going anywhere.
But yeah, this is a fan request. We're doing a lot of fan requests for movie reviews. So if you have a film you want us to look at, watch, talk about, let us know what it is. Leave a comment. Shout out to my guy Nelson Moreno just jumping in. He's the one who suggested that we review the Animatrix. So that's what we're doing today. And we watched it last night. I watched it for maybe my second or third time. I forgot. I know for a fact I saw it around 2003 or 2004 when the DVD was released, and it was one of my favorite films that I saw when I was a kid. Actually, this was your first time seeing it, right?
Yeah, I watched like the first Matrix movie in high school, and then I watched this for the first time last night. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like trying to, remember what was happening in the Matrix. Of course, I knew like the basic things, but I was trying to like remember more. And yeah, it was good.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, if you've been living under a rock, or if you're a Gen Z Zoomer, late Zoomer, or whatever is after Gen Z, The Matrix is a big action sci fi franchise that is the story about in the future, all humans are living in a simulation, but they don't know it. And they're controlled by these robots that live in the real world. And there are a few people who are trying to break out of the simulation, and when they realize that they're in the simulation, they try to fight back against the evil robots to free all of humanity. And the Animatrix is a collection of animated short stories that sort of summarizes the history of how humans got to this point, and also different stories that take place in the Matrix universe. Is that a good description, Acting? Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And we were talking about this before we started this live stream that The Matrix is like that type of movie. Once you see it, you can't unthink it, right? Because, like, you could argue we are in a simulation right now. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think about that idea?
The thing is, I don't want to say we're definitely not in a simulation, and this is the real world. I don't want to say that, but if I am in a simulation, I can stay here, guys. Don't try to take me out. I'm happy.
No.
But that's definitely, that's something that could happen in the future, even if it's not real right now, because of like how technology is developing and stuff. So when I watched it last night and I saw like the history of how it developed to be, it was like, wow, okay, this could be something real.
Yeah. I mean, for me, if I was in the Matrix, I would want to be out because, I want to do sick kung fu moves and like dodge bullets like Neo
Hmm.
and flip over buildings like Trinity and have cool sunglasses like Morpheus. And man, if I'm gonna be in the Matrix, I can't have like a medium sized like meat. You know what I mean? You got to give me a 14 inch shaped like a Coca-Cola bottle. At least give me the tools to work with to be a beast out here in these streets. You feel me? But
Wow.
hey, Nelson, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Hey, man, what do you think about the Matrix franchise as a whole? Like, what do you think of it? Like, do you think it's
Uh,
a. Yeah, go ahead.
the first movie like literally changed my life. It's the reason I'm so much into movies is because of the first movie.
Hmm.
It's one of my favorite movies, and this one is as well. It's easily on my top 15, top 10, my favorite movies. The Animatrix for
Nice,
me.
nice. That's good taste. That's good taste. What do you think about the other Matrix films? And I believe there was one recently, like a few years ago, right?
Matrix Revolution Reloaded, which is the
Hmm.
second one,
Hmm.
is very messy, very bloated movie.
Hmm.
It's a mid. The third one, some cool moments, but also largely mid. So they're very underwhelming movies. The latest one, I forgot the name. The latest one is absolutely horrible. It's complete dog shit. Horrible movie.
I think it's called Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. Yeah.
I don't even understand the premise of having the fourth one because I believe in the third one they defeated the robots, right?
Uh, yeah, but they're still on the Matrix.
They're still in the Matrix.
But it's basically the same movie again, the first movie, but instead of Neo being the one, it's a I forgot the name. It's his girlfriend,
Trinity.
Trinity. Yeah.
Okay, interesting, interesting. So they put a chick in it and made her gay. Okay.
Exactly. For South Park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the cast and it's like so confusing. They have Jada Smith, they have Monica Bellucci, and like Priyanka Chopra, Neil Patrick Harris. Like, I don't know how they put all of those together.
Mm. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, let's jump into the Animatrix. So basically, the film is a collection of different like short stories. The first one, by the way, sorry. Let me just say this. I'm putting some money out there in the streets right now for anybody that's hearing my voice right now. We watched this movie last night, and I believe we watched the Toonami edited version because during the story, the Second Renaissance Part Two, when the humans go to war against the robots, there was a scene that I remember vividly as a kid where a robot rips out a man's penis, right, and cuts him in half. Now, I'm putting some money out there in the streets right now for anybody who can find the DVD version. The DVD version of the Animatrix that's uncensored, where the robot rips out the man's penis. I'll PayPal you, Cash App you, whatever, $50. $50 out there right now for anybody who's hearing me. All right? I'm putting that out there because that shit bothered me last night because I was waiting for that scene so Acti could be traumatized too. Nelson, did you see that scene?
I do remember a scene of a robot splitting someone in half, but not the penis part.
Man, I'm telling you, it does exist. And on Wikipedia, it says that, the Animatrix was shown like on Adult Swim and then also on the kids version, Toonami, but they edited out all the nudity. And I think they edited out that scene. And online, you only see the Toonami version. But anybody hearing me, $50 yours. Just post it up. You don't have to send me the DVD. Just send me the link, whatever, to that scene. All right. So that's all I got to say.
All
uh,
right.
Shall we jump into the story? Acting?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, let's go.
All right, first one is Final Flight of the Osiris. Basically, the film opens up with this guy named Captain Thaddeus, and he's doing basically virtual reality karate with his partner, Jue, who's an Asian woman. Captain Thaddeus is black. It's a very cool fight scene, but then they're sort of like awakened into the real world because they're in one of the Matrix ships that's flying through reality, being chased by the Sentinels. They're eventually like covered by the Sentinels on the ship, and they realize that the androids or the Sentinels are digging a giant tunnel into Zion to destroy it. And Zion is the place where the humans are putting up their last resistance against the robots. And yeah, Jue goes back into the Matrix to dump something in a mailbox. And I believe that was a setup for the video game that came out around this time related to the Animatrix. Acti, how did you feel about that first story?
Yeah, I guess it was like a good introduction. I thought the Captain Thaddeus was Morpheus.
Hmm.
And so when I learned later on it wasn't, I was kind of disappointed because I thought it was going to tell like Morpheus's backstory, how he came out of the Matrix and things like that. And maybe even like his relationship with Jue, and like it's a tragic loss, etc., something like that. But it wasn't, and I wish it was. But other than that, like it was an okay introduction, I guess, because I'm also a bit confused about like the, how do you say, like the placement of the stories,
Hmm.
because after this story they go on to tell the history of the Matrix, right?
Hmm.
And then they also tell a bunch of other different stories. So why was this one the first one? I'm not sure. I guess it was showing us like the now,
Hmm.
maybe. I'm not sure, but it was good. I don't know what else to say.
There are different versions of the Animatrix where they put the stories in different orders, and I believe the HBO version of this, like that story is the last story that they tell. So yeah, I think the sequencing could have been different. But Nelson, what did you think about that first one?
I thought it was. I liked it. It was really hot. It was really sexy. The animation was really good. My doesn't much happen. It's basically a
Hmm.
setup for a
Hmm.
sequel for the next movie or video game or something.
Yeah.
Uh, but I liked
Yeah,
it.
definitely. There was a lot of like sexual tension between Thaddeus and Jue. You didn't know if they were gonna kill each other or fuck in the dojo. So, yeah, I think one of the things the Matrix specializes in, and what made the film so popular, were its action scenes. Like, I remember, I think I might be older than you, Nelson, but I remember first seeing Neo dodge the bullets in the first Matrix, and we had never seen something like that in action cinema before, right? And in the Animatrix, they sort of like continue that tradition of like cool action sequences, sci-fi realism. It's just all put there right at the very beginning to capture your attention because that's one of the big selling points of the Matrix.
Yeah. I also like that it promoted interracial couple. The second one, there's a second story with a black guy fighting on a samurai
Mhm.
sword. Remember that
Yeah, yeah,
second
yeah.
story?
I
Yeah.
was
So yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
cool.
Before we started this live stream, I was telling Acti like I don't think Well, I'll say this. I think the Animatrix is way blacker than people actually give it credit for. Like we can look at this on the surface level and just see a sci-fi, cartoon, but it's actually a really black ass story. And I don't think the black characters in there are inconsequential. Like their blackness is a part of it, right? So I think Thaddeus and
Exactly.
Jue's relationship, because a lot of the times in sci-fi they want to show that the world is beyond the bullshit that we're on now, like racism and anti-blackness is not that big of a problem in the future where the robots are raping us. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I think they were supposed
Yeah.
to do with Thaddeus and Jue. I don't know, what do you think?
Th- there- There's there's first of all, the second movie is full of black
Mm-hmm.
people, and in this movie, there's literally a story about like a black guy running, escaping himself from systematic racism. It's one of the later stories
Mm-hmm.
we're going to talk about later, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, the Matrix is a I think there's a lot of black overtones in there. Like there's a lot of inspiration from the black experience welded into the Matrix. But I don't know. What do you think, Acting? Any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think ever since you told me that, what was the superheroes that you were watching?
The X Men.
X-Men was based on like blackness and stuff like that. I think I also, when I was watching this movie as well, I was trying to pay attention to that and see if they would be any like similarities to
Hmm.
something like that. And I could definitely see like in some of the stories, there was that sort of sentiment
Hmm.
of like we said it just before starting the live, like the slavery of robots and things like that. So
Hmm.
yeah, I do think like there's some connection to blackness and the
Yeah.
Matrix universe.
But see, the Matrix, just the concept is so big that it can apply to almost everybody, right? Like everybody has something where you feel like I got to break out of the system, or we're in a world that is regimented and keeps us in a box, right? But I do think it relates to the black experience in particular because, like, we live in a white supremacist world that, puts us in a certain category and treats us a certain way. And when we try to break out of that box, we get met with Mr. Smiths, like strong
Yeah.
resistance. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And yeah, there has to be like some reason why all those Mr. Smith guys are like, they look like white Wall Street guys.
Yeah, coming to kick
And
ass.
yeah, and they look like capitalists and all things like that. So there has to be a reason why they were created in the image of that person.
Right, right. All right, but let's go to the second Renaissance part one. And this story is told about the beginning of the relationship between humans and man. and I mean, man and robots, pardon. And it's sort of told in like a biblical sort of way. Like there's this creature who's speaking like a deity, like a goddess type character. And she's saying, in the beginning, man created robot and it was good. And robot served man and it was good. But then eventually, robot fucked over man and that was bad. May God forgive the robots and the humans. Like what? But yeah, basically, a long time ago, or at least sometime in the future, however you want to think about it, uh, man created these AI robots and they worked them like, like slaves to build up our society and stuff like that. But then one day, one robot kills their master, right? And this robot is put on trial in front of the world. And people were saying, like, why does this robot even have a trial? Robots should just be turned off. But then humans said, okay, if this thing has a consciousness, it at least deserves its day in court, right? And eventually, the robot was found guilty and sentenced to death. Many people were outraged. The people who sympathized with the robot, and also the robots themselves. The robots start protesting for rights. Humans start executing and genociding the robots, if that's even a thing. Robociding? Is it robociding? Not genocide, right? And anyway, the robots end up creating their own civilization, like in the Middle East. They start in the cradle of civilization and they create Nation Zero. What was the name of the country? Zero
Zero
Nation?
one.
Zero One?
Yeah.
Okay, 0 1. Yeah, they start a nation called 0 1, and 0 1 starts performing economically better than the human nations. All of their exports are selling. People want their stuff and not what the humans are making. And so then the humans get really pissed and they try to destroy the civilization by, you know, putting sanctions on them, blockading them. Uh, Eventually, the robots try to sue for peace. They send a representative to the UN. The humans kill the representative, and then they decide to nuke the robots. And basically, they decide to go to war with the
Is that part
robots.
one?
Pardon?
Is that only part one?
Is that only part one, or did I jump to part two? I did jump to part two. Okay, well, that was part one. The blockade and the stuff like that is part one. You're right. You're right. But anyway, what did you think about part one, acting?
Yeah, this is like part one and part two. The second Renaissance overall is my favorite, parts of the movie overall. I really like how, like, yes, it was like the story was told by like this almost goddess like person, but it
Mm-hmm.
was also in the voice of a android.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was talking like a robot, but it was also like a very calming voice and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, we see this sort of visual in the last scene of the movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. I like like I said, I thought it was like really something that could happen, even though like it's sci-fi. Of course, it's like far in the future, etc. It's like not impossible, so it's not ridiculous, and I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said earlier, I do think like, and you said it to me as well, like with the robot that killed its own owners,
Mm-hmm.
there's that like symbolism of African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also really liked how robots created another like created their country from zero in like the Middle East. I
Mm-hmm.
think like Mesopotamia or something like that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
robots are Turkish.
Yeah, like I mean, it's like it's just I feel like it's giving homage to all the sort of, people who are actually created humanity,
Mm.
but then were looked down upon by, the white supremacists and like capitalists and things like that. And it's giving them credit of some sorts in the movie. So I think that was really cool. And yeah, and I like the fact that, I really like the last scene where the two robots are sent to the United Nations,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they look like a bride and the groom. Like the male robot is wearing a tie and the female robot is wearing like white garters. And it's like so cute. Like how can you kill those two robots? They want peace and they want to be like humans.
Yep.
And I really like that sort of, peaceful sentiment that the robots came with.
Mm.
But
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we just talking about parts one and two of Second Renaissance could just be this entire review. But Nelson, what did you think about the first part?
I really love the first part. It's also one of my favorite shorts. The part one and part two.
Hmm.
For me, it was really cool. It felt like they did like they used the struggle between human and machine to do like an analogy between class struggle between the worker and and the rich. And it kind of reminded me when people started creating unions. It was also pretty ultra violent when workers started started asking for their rights.
Mm.
This part one and part two also, but this part is full of religious symbolism that I
Hmm.
used to know a little bit, but I don't know now. And I wish I had the time yesterday to do some research, but I know there is some Hindu symbolism, like the program that we hear narrate.
Hmm.
She's um she's actually an AI in the records in the how do you say library records on digital library records on Zion. She's an
Mm-hmm.
AI and she's telling the story. It's very inspired by I don't know if you have read by um Isaac Asimov Foundation.
No, I have not.
So in Dune also, have you read the Dune book?
No.
So basically, who started this was Isaac Asimov. He did.
Hmm.
He wrote. The next movie you're gonna review, I Robot. He wrote the original.
Hmm.
Um, he wrote the. Did you know the three rules for robots? Do you know that thing?
A robot shall not hurt a human, kill a
Yeah.
human,
He
and
he
fuck a
cre-
human.
he created that, and the styles of robots that we see in in this shorts. I think they're very inspired by these robots,
Hmm.
and whatever. But in his book Foundation, it's basically a story told. I don't know how to say in English. The each chapter starts right with like also Dune, but each chapter starts with a huge quote or something saying, before the foundation fell, mankind do something like that. It's like history.
Hmm.
So they
Hmm.
basically took it from there. It's yeah. And
Right.
when I watch this, I always watch this with a little bit of I'm gonna be honest, with some ecstasy and on my system. And it's really cool. Yeah, it really have really good time. It's very psychedelic, the animation.
Yeah, the animation in this film, and especially since each short is like animated a different way, because the first one is like CGI, this one is like traditional anime cartoonish, and other ones have a different style. And I really like the style of parts one and two of Second Renaissance. That's probably my favorite style throughout the film. And definitely, it feels real. Like Acti said, it feels like something that could happen. It does give like a warning to what AI could become, and it makes you question like what should our relationship be with another creature that is as smart as us or smarter than us in this world. I feel like there is a plot hole though, because of like what you said, Nelson, like in Isaac Asimov's three rules of robotics, a robot shall never hurt a human. I feel like if we programmed AI to think that, then we would generally be safe. But I don't know if that could get overrode. Like the robot could just think past that idea and find ways to hurt humans. And that's how the robots in the Animatrix did it. Did anybody else think of that?
Well, yeah, the robot does say it was, it was afraid of death
Hmm.
because he was going to replaced with another robot, just like Isaac Asimov. He did something like that.
Hmm. Okay, but even if the robot didn't want to be replaced, if its programming says don't kill a human, wouldn't that stop it?
I
Any
mean, I don't know.
anybody? Active?
I mean, I don't know. It's they said that that's the robots were built in humans' likeness, and
Hmm.
I don't know if that only refers to the outer appearance of the robots, and maybe they also did create some sort of consciousness in
Hmm.
robots, and that's why like that robot acted out like that.
Right. Okay. There was
I don't
a
know. Yeah.
there was something I said to Nelson yesterday. I was like, if Ava prayed to God, do you think God would care, or would God just say, "Why is the toaster talking to me?" And when we were watching the Animatrix last night, and I saw the AI talk in this biblical way, like man created robot, and it was good. I was thinking, okay, maybe AI has developed its own deity, its own God that can explain its origin story, because I feel like a part of consciousness is like you want to have reasons for our existence or understanding of why we exist. Did anybody else see the AI as like the god of the robots, and maybe that's who they pray to or worship?
Yeah, I think that was the idea also. Like because in the beginning when we were introduced to that goddess, image,
Hmm.
she says something like, "Welcome to the archives. You've chosen the file, 12.1," or
Hmm.
something like that. And maybe AI's God or what they believe in is the archives,
Hmm.
since they can like store everything and they have all the information that they can get. The collection of those things are their God, and she was the representative of that information, I felt like.
Yeah, yeah,
Her
definitely.
design was obviously inspired by Hindu gods, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Throughout the film, by the way, there's a lot of references to different religions. Like there's statues of the Buddha in random places. You see Christian crosses, people doing salats like Muslims. So the beautiful thing about the Matrix is they bring a lot of human culture into this thing that seems organic and real.
Yeah. And there was also like two scenes where we saw Apple.
Mm.
And if you remember, we saw it and it was like in the hands of a human, and then
Hmm.
the apple drops and it starts to decay and there's like worms coming out of it. And I said to you, like, is this forbidden apple? Like, what is the forbidden apple?
Hmm.
And I guess it was like humans fucking with robots,
Hmm.
and it killed the nature, or I don't know, something.
Yeah.
And then in the last scenes, the apple was in the hands of a robot,
Mm.
saying, threatening humans basically.
Well, no, I think held the robots that were holding the apple were the two emissaries who came there for peace, and then when they were attacked by the humans, they dropped the apple.
No, it was like in the last part of Renaissance Part 2.
Mm,
It was like, at the end of all those wars, I
yeah,
think it was the machine who created the Matrix, or at least the idea of the Matrix. He was
yeah.
holding the apple.
Okay, okay. Well, since we started talking about part two, let's jump to Renaissance part two. Very simply, the humans try to go to war against the robots and they get fucked over really bad. And the humans do the stupidest thing of trying to block out the sun. So they pour black smoke and black clouds over the earth to prevent the robots from being able to get energy. And I assume they also destroyed their own agriculture and everything like that. And basically, the humans go to war and get, destroyed, wrecked, totally wrecked. And I'll just talk about the most disturbing scene. Of course, the penis snatching scene is horrible from the robot. But I think one of the most disturbing scenes in Renaissance parts one and two is when the humans are attacking that woman robot and they smack her over the head. And she's like, "No, I'm real, I'm real." But they like tear her apart. That was one of the most disturbing scenes. But let's go to Nelson. What do you think of part two?
Yeah, part two was really really cool. I loved it. I loved the war for mankind, the religion symbolism on it. I loved wow. I just really loved the ending when mankind fell, and like many times it was a very futile war.
Mhm.
And in the thing that I have never forgot, and I still like to see, it's when like by the very end, when we see that like their kid get plugged into the matrix, we see like that AI program looking at that kid, like mankind, and looking with pity, you know. It
Mm,
kind of reminding me almost of like Virgin Mary, you know.
mm,
And it was very deep because it's telling us that these programs, they have a deep empathy.
Mm.
making
You,
the situation all the more tragic.
you think the robots had empathy with the humans because maybe they created the Matrix to make us happy, and just so they could like take care of us, but also live with us. What do you think?
Well, that's a interesting theory. I think I've heard about it, something like that. That they
Hmm.
kept us because they needed some form of purpose. But I don't know about the machines necessarily at the time of the war. But but I'm sure the at least that AI program that's telling the story.
Hmm.
Yeah, she definitely had some empathy. A lot of empathy.
Right, right. Acty, what did you think of part two, the war?
Yeah, just picking up of what you said. Even though like robots were killing humans and stuff like that at the end, it did feel like robots were more human or showed more human decency. Because like you said, that scene where like humans are fucking with the female robot,
Hmm.
it also I think shows another like group who has been undermined in the world
Hmm.
history,
Hmm.
which is woman. And like it's a robot, you don't need to like show her titty, or like act like you're raping her or something like that. You can
Hmm.
just like kill it as a robot. But instead of that, those humans were like using her sexuality as well, I guess,
Yeah.
in a way. And which is like also another nice little head nod to maybe even sexism. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
But yeah, like and I like the second part also because it showed like human desperation for like being wanting to be on top
Mm.
and having like human greed as well. Like we thought an atomic bomb would end robots. Like
Hmm.
that's kind of silly because they're made of metal, and we go to that length even though it probably risked a lot of humans life as well. And then also on top of it, we black out the skies, we destroy the skies for the expense of our agriculture and our famine as well. To kill the robots instead of trying to find a peaceful way, we go all of these lengths.
Yeah.
So that's why I said robots feel more human in this story.
Hmm. Yeah, and if you remember, or if you think about it this way, like the first Matrix came out in what 1999 or 2000, and the Animatrix came out in like 2003. And when people first saw the first Matrix, they were thinking, "Wow, these robots destroyed the Earth. They made the sky black. The Earth is no longer green." And you realize when you watch the Animatrix, no, humans did that. We're the ones who blacked out the sky. We're the ones who made this world the way it is. And when I think about, the robots, Nelson sort of said it right there, like maybe the robots needed a purpose, and their whole purpose is to serve us. And what they did by putting us in the matrix is to make us, have some purpose of our own, and their purpose of taking care of us. And because we took away their son, now they really need us to live. And I think also part two shows like, how can I say this? A lot of symbolism in relation to like Black America, because like why did 01 get destroyed? It's because it was a prosperous community like Black Wall Street, like Rosewood. And what did the white supremacists do when Black people got booming communities? They bombed them, they destroyed them, they killed us and ran us out. And it's just a alternate ending where instead of the robots being dispersed, they fought back and they won and they took over. So yeah, that's how I feel about part two. Very interesting. Anybody
Yeah.
else?
I just want to say, yeah, like what you said is, I do think it's really a dope interpretation because both sides need each other, right? Humans need the Matrix because the sky is blacked out. There's probably not food that they
Mm-hmm.
can like, crop and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, we can say it's like you said, it's a way for humans to live peacefully
Mm-hmm.
without knowing what is really going on, and also really to survive as well. And
Yeah.
it's the same way for robots, they need the human energy to survive. And if you look at it also, it's like that with like black people around the world and white people around the world,
Mm.
because white people do have like resources because they took it for years and years and years. They controlled the resources, and yeah, it's kind of like that. I
Mm.
don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit disturbing though because it's like
Yeah,
the robots are like the robots are like, no, we love you humans, y'all just don't understand.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
like,
I think yeah, like
yeah,
robots are maybe trying to say like we can have a lot of good like you know things in the world because of us,
hmm,
but also we need you because that's our purpose or something like that. Like I think maybe it's like same like because black I feel like what black people do want is like let us contribute to the society like any other person, and we can have a great civilization without racism,
mm,
right? We can go to the max of human civilization and things like that because we don't give some people the equal opportunities.
hmm.
And if we did that, we could, develop much more and faster, basically.
Dog, we would have flying cars right now without the KKK.
Yeah.
We'd be living on Venus if it weren't for like, man, you get what I'm saying? So, yeah, Nelson, you got anything before we move on?
Yeah, it was a really great short. I also like to remind there's probably some class analysis there to enrich
Mhm.
it for that. I think that's also there.
No, definitely, definitely, that's there. So, shall we jump on? Let's go to program. What was program? A battle program set in feudal Japan. Okay, yeah, that's the one where this basically it's like a samurai battle. There's this girl with like white hair and like red samurai armor doing battle against this black guy who's dressed in black samurai armor, and they're fighting extremely, like Goku and Vegeta, but with like bayonets and swords. And he's telling her like, I'm going to leave the Matrix. I want to leave, and I thought you would come with me. And she's like, no, I can't leave. And they have a battle. They fight. She ends up killing him, and then she wakes up from the Matrix and realizes that it was all just a training dream, like it was a simulation to prepare her for any situation, right? She ends up punching the guy who woke her up from this dream in the Matrix, and that's the end of it. Nelson, any comments on that?
Have you guys seen Cowboy Bebop?
Yes, I never liked it though. I never liked Cowboy Bebop. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, this is from the director of the show, of the creator of the show, from Cowboy Bebop. So that's why I mentioned it. I thought it was really cool. For me, it meant like if it, it's like the same thing happens in the first movie where what if like the fake reality is better than the reality itself, if
Mhm.
it's worth living on reality itself, and like and what about if in the fake reality we have love. It's better to live in a reality without love than in a fake reality with love. And
Mhm.
I also thought the animation was completely superb, amazing. The coloring, especially, it was
Mhm.
really good. The voice work was really good and all that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I asked you this, Nelson, but if you had the choice, would you stay in the Matrix or would you come out?
I would come out. I would come out.
Why? Why so? Life is hard.
Uh,
You might die. Robot
uh,
might rip you in
if
half.
do you remember Zion in the second movie?
Yeah, man. They were having sweaty orgies.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the sweaty orgies, and it was basically like a red bone paradise.
Okay, a red bone paradise. Acting, yeah, I'm muting myself. I'm muting myself. Acting, go
No.
ahead, man.
The thing is, I don't know the Zion Paradise or whatever, but I'm okay. I'll just let you guys decide that you would want to take the red pill for the
Hey,
orgies.
acting. You remember "Smell Like Teen Spirit" the video?
Yeah.
That's what Zion is, 24/7.
Wow. Yeah, no for me. I'm not giving up my happiness for orgies. And then I would have to fight all the time. But yeah, just going back to the program part. what I thought, it was like also one of my favorite animations when it comes to like the all the memories, or like sort of like what happened in the Matrix. Um like, yeah. Except for the Renaissance, like after the history part, this was one of my favorites as well.
Hmm.
And yeah, I was gonna say something. I forgot because you guys said
I think
you guys talking about the Zion.
I'm sorry. I think maybe you were going to talk about how this that that conversation he was having with her sort of like talks about the constant fight to be like, okay, do I want to continue fighting against the robots, or do I just want to live in peace in Dream La La Land Matrix?
Yeah, that's, and also it gave me the vibes of like, why are like the people who got out of the Matrix are constantly doing these trainings and tests, because I do feel like after some point they are trying to be like the AI they created, because
Mm,
AI kind of never fails any test,
mm.
because yeah, like I mean, it's AI. So I feel like that's what they are trying to do. They're trying to sort of become closer to the thing that they created and then now hate.
That's a
I
good
don't
point.
know.
No, that's a good point. Like they become the monster they hate to some degree.
I mean, I do still think they want to keep their humanity, but in this fight, their humanity makes them weak when they are like opposite the AI. So
Hmm.
I feel like that's why they're training and doing those tests, and this is what this story like reminded me of.
Right.
That's a
I,
good point because she also was put in a simulation that she didn't know that it was real.
Yeah.
mm. Yeah, because in a way, the humans took away her free will, right? And that's why she was really pissed. It might not be the idea that this guy was trying to convince her to leave. It was the idea they took her will, and that's what all the humans are fighting for, freedom from the robots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, good point. Watching program that did have one of the best action sequences in the film. The big selling point, once again, of the Matrix are these incredible action scenes and how they're able to take culture and different locations and make it seem real and believable. The Matrix is just one of a kind. It's different than Star Wars, right? In Star Wars, you're always gonna have lightsaber battles and maybe some cool Jedi magic, right? But the Matrix has the ability to do that and more because it is such a big universe and it's believable too. That's all I got to say about that. Anybody else? Nope.
Nope.
All right, let's jump ahead. What was the next story? World record. Okay, this is the story about this runner, this Olympic runner, black guy, who basically got caught doing drugs at one of the Olympics, and now he's trying to recapture his record after getting disgraced. And as he's running, the Smiths are watching him because they believe that he could actually run so fast he could break out of the Matrix, which he ends up doing. And he ends up running at a record space, 100 meters at like 8.9 seconds or something like that, and he breaks the barrier of the Matrix and ends up realizing he's in like the glass pod and the liquid pod, and the robot ends up slapping him back into the Matrix, and he's left in a wheelchair, handicapped, but he still remembers freedom. And the Smiths are saying like, okay, he's now incapacitated, he can't walk or talk ever again, but he ends up walking again and trying to recapture that freedom that he had briefly when he broke the Matrix barrier. Nelson, what do you think about that one?
I love this one. It's amazing. I think it's a story basically about the system, the white supremacist system, trying literally try to keep the black man down. Uh, Very obviously made by the last scene where the agent says keep down, go down, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like that he was the power of self belief, that he got out of the matrix by pure willpower. And
Yeah.
I like to see that everyone was like um, doubting him and all that. It was completely amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Acting.
Yeah, Nelson said, I do think also there's strong like symbolism of like black people versus white supremacy. And the scene where his tendon or something, like his muscle rips off, that was
Mm-hmm.
like crazy. When I watched it, I was like, oh my god, like
Mm.
how does he keep on, like it was very real and nicely done.
Yeah.
And yeah, like about like I guess like for me the most also important part was the last scene of this part, where like the agent is there and he says like, oh, we erased his memory, so he'll not remember the race and he's not able to move, so like we don't have to worry about him.
Mm.
And then he does like, I guess, remember that he's in the pods and stuff like that. But I just felt bad for him because he knows, but he cannot get out of it or something like that. I felt like he was stuck or in the system, which is like, if we look at today, it's the system of like capitalism and white supremacy. So
Yeah.
it's like, even if you know what is happening, it's really hard to get out of it.
Mm. Does anybody here know the story of John Henry?
No.
No.
No. Uh, it's an old Black African American myth. A long, long time ago, there were some workers on the railroad, and then the boss comes in with this machine that can burst through a mountain quicker than 100 workers. But John Henry is this very tall, strong black man, and he says, "I can work harder than that machine, and I'll dig a tunnel through the mountain before the machine can." And so John Henry starts knocking at the mountain while the machine is going too, and John works so hard that he actually beats the machine, but he ends up dying at the end. And when I was watching this, I was thinking John Henry the entire time. I don't know if my guy Avery Adams knows this story, but it's a story that they tell amongst Black Americans, and yeah, that's what I was thinking of the entire time. Like, this is a Matrix version of the John Henry story, doing something so incredible, so powerful that you end up breaking the barriers, doing the impossible, but you end up losing your life or your freedom or your ability to be the same afterwards. So very moving story. And like Acti said, when he was running so fast that his legs broke, like the animation makes it seem so grotesque. There's a lot of body horror in the Animatrix, and this is one of those scenes. So really like this story too. Anybody?
I, like I would just like to mention that the animation also here was completely superb.
Hmm. Definitely, definitely. Acti, should we do the next one?
Yeah, let's do the next one.
All right. What is the next one? Do you know it?
It's the kid's story, I
Yeah.
think.
Go ahead. Tell
And
it.
okay, so it's basically this kid is like bored in his bedroom, and then I guess he's a hacker or something like that, and he goes to the computer and starts typing like, "Why do my dreams sometimes feel more real than the real world?" and stuff like that. And someone answers him, saying like, "There's some truth to that, and there's like some allusion to your reality as well." And so I think this was like Neo, right? Like that was writing back to the kid. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure,
Mm-hmm.
or
Morpheus.
yeah, or Morpheus, yeah. So yeah, I mean, he basically gets like a green light from that, and then while he's in classroom the next day or something, his phone starts ringing. His teacher gets mad at him, and then he closes his phone. But then his phone rings again, and he opens the phone, and someone says to him like, "They're coming, run!" And then he starts to run, and then Mr. Smiths start chasing him throughout the school, and there's like this distorted like chasing that's happening, which I thought was really cool. And then at the end he climbs up to the roof basically, and Mr. Smiths are waiting for him there, and he decides to jump down from the building and says like, "I trust you, Neo," or something, and he lets himself go. And in the real world, he dies, and his teacher says something like, he wasn't ready for the real world. The real world was too much for him. He's somewhere else now. And then at the end, we see him waking up to the Matrix not the Matrix, but the real world, actually, the real world.
The real world.
Yeah, and then in the end, like on the screen, it says you're not alone. Like someone writes
Michael
again, and it
Jackson
says
jokes
you're
into
not
the
alone.
chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the chat.
Hee hee. You are not alone.
What did you guys think about that?
The entire time that was playing, I was thinking of Linkin Park's "I'm Breaking the Habit." I don't know why the animation in that part just reminds me of that music video. But that's all I got to say. Go ahead.
Nelson, what did
Oh
you
yeah.
think?
It's the Linkin Park music video comparison that Simon made. It's a very apt comparison because I think this short captures like a feeling that some teenagers have, that something very phony is going around with them. That what going around them doesn't really matter, and a certain rebellion that people that teenagers also have against the system. And I think he captured that really well. And I think it was also a story of faith. You know, uh, the kid, he isn't sure of the news existence, but by the end he literally takes a leap of faith. Into the beyond, and he gets out of the matrix. So in the record story, the runner, he breaks from the matrix by pure like willpower.
Hmm.
In this story, the kid, he gets out of the matrix out of just sheer teenage angst and also faith.
Right. But you know what? I was surprised that this story wasn't edited out of like the kids version of the Animatrix because I can't think of a single story where suicide is made as the right choice to make. And think about it, like he really
Yeah.
kills himself, and we're supposed to be glad he broke out of the matrix, right? And that's the interesting thing about this. I thought this part was actually probably the most dangerous, right? Because there's schizophrenic people out there who feel like we are living in a matrix, and they might kill themselves if they're inspired by this. So I don't know, did anybody else think that, like, hey, I don't know how to feel about this.
I mean, I'm not suicidal, so I didn't think about that. But I do think, yeah, like if young people who are watching this, and if they have that sort of problem, they might be influenced by that. But I
Mm,
do think Nelson made a good point, like because some kids do realize there are like the wrong things about our world, right? Like
mm,
capitalism, white supremacism, whatever, all of those things, and they might get depressed because of that, and that might also cause suicides.
mhm.
So maybe it was a hint to that, like Nelson said. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I gotta say though, I like the skateboard scene. You know, some people
yeah,
might feel like it was a bit over the top, but I think once again, you can do almost anything in the Matrix films with action or people being able to do incredible feats, and it's believable because we it's a computer game, right? Essentially, at the end of the day. So the kids, skating all over school and being able to evade 20 police, it makes sense. So, Nelson, anything?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the animation was absolutely crazy. They had some scenes where you look very real, and some
Hmm.
other where it was look very abstract. You know, uh, also, I kind of liked, the hero in the story, the kid. That there's no the cliche adults who don't understand them. And it's kind of like a Narnia story.
Mm, yeah.
Where the kids and something the adults, they don't really believe the kids, like that there's monster on their bed or there's a world beyond the closet. and
Hmm.
and uh and he gets validated, just like in these fantasy movies, because there really is another reality to this reality.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost seems a bit religious, right? Because leaving the matrix can either be going to heaven or hell, depending on how you look at it, right? Because you could be living a great life in the matrix, but then enter the real world and be like, oh, this is hell. I want to go back.
Yeah,
But if,
that
if you're live, yeah, go ahead.
That's a very good comparison that analysis that you made,
Right.
because the by the end, the his teacher literally says he's probably in a better place now, something like that.
Right. But the thing is, now this kid who probably was a loser or probably wasn't going to do that many important things in the Matrix world now can have the potential to be a hero, quote unquote, in the real world.
He appears. Don't you remember him? Have you guys seen the second Matrix and the third?
I saw all of them, but many years ago, and I don't remember them that well.
So there's a bald kid. He appears. He's the kid. He appears in the. He basically helps save the world from the machines, the Zion from the machines.
Nice. 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 Okay. He's
Yeah.
not the one, is he?
No, no, no.
Okay. All right. But yeah, shall we continue?
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Detective story.
Now there's Beyond before that
Beyond?
one.
Okay. Okay, Beyond is the story about this like little girl named Yoko. I think she's living like somewhere in Japan in Tokyo and she's looking for her cat Yuki and then she meets some neighborhood kids and some neighborhood kids are like maybe your cat is in that haunted house over there. And when she walks into the haunted house, uh, strange things are able to occur. Like the kids are able to jump off of the roof and not land on the ground, like they hover and float. Uh, Different things are able to, materialize in the air and disappear. And it's because it's a glitch in the matrix. In this house, the same rules and laws of physics don't apply. So Yoko is like looking for her cat. She's able to find the cat, but the Smiths and the agents of the Matrix come and they try to arrest all the kids there and clear out the house and get rid of the magic. And eventually, they're able to do all of that, and everything goes back to normal, the way it should be in the Matrix, and the glitch is fixed. Acti, how did you feel about this story?
I liked the story. It was like cute, showing that kid innocent side of the whole story. And yeah, like I don't know, it was cool to see like how kids were playing with the glitches in the matrix, and they didn't really question it deeper than that. They weren't like, oh, what is happening here, oh my god, like, but they were just playing with it. And maybe it shows that robots do actually really care about humans, because they kind of like made it in a way, made Matrix in a way where kids won't be able to get out of it until
Mhm.
maybe they're grown. So that they're not like faced with the real world where it's like all grim, and they have to be fighters, etc.
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe it was like a protection sort of thing.
Right.
But yeah.
Right, right. I mean, if we really think deeply about it, we could be living in the Matrix right now, but we're living in a version of the Matrix where magic doesn't exist or magic doesn't exist anymore, right?
Oh
Like
wow.
if like I'm going to take it there guys, but let's say hypothetically we are living in a simulation. But when we read these stories about dragons or the god Zeus or Poseidon, that was the older version of the Matrix. But
I mean,
the robots realized they can't have crazy gods and dragons flying around, so they changed it and updated it. I don't know. You guys hear
this
me?
is this is also what I was thinking when I was watching this episode, that there are like a lot of people in our world that believe in supernatural things, or
Mm-hmm.
they see or experience those things. Of course there are like fake ones also, but they share it on online.
Mm-hmm.
Like they saw aliens, they saw a ghost
Mm-hmm.
or something.
Glitch in the
So maybe
Matrix.
like those people are the ones that see the Matrix. I was thinking this when I was watching the this episode.
No, I'm telling you for real. Obama's a reptilian. Well,
No,
there's a
not
glitch in the
all of them.
Matrix.
No, not all of them, but maybe that crazy guy in Oklahoma
Yeah,
that saw like I don't know,
and
something.
yeah, an alien. He saw a lizard come out of the sky. That's
Yeah, maybe
crazy.
he knows the Matrix.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, Nelson.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite shorts, and generally, to be honest, one of my favorite pieces of art. To be honest,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, but honestly, just before I go into my my opinion overall, I wanted to ask you a few things, Simon.
Go ahead.
Do you think, just like it's like a logical line? So, do
Mhm.
you think that one day mankind will will, if it survives, will achieve a technology that will create a matrix, a simulated
Abs-
reality?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, now do you think that sophisticated reality that it will create will be so sophisticated that those living things or those simulated things inside that simulated reality will create a simulated reality themselves?
Um, I think it could be possible, yes.
So if we follow that logic, right? Like there's a very good chance that we are in a simulated reality created by another civilization.
It is very possible, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I would just like you to consider that. And
Yeah.
then and overall, in my opinion, no, just talk, if you want to respond to that, my opinion is a bit long about this one.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No,
Uh,
please.
so I really like the for someone like me who really likes texture, mood, music and tone. I really like that. This was like perfect for me, especially watching it while I'm like really high. And I caught up some symbolisms on it. Like the house, the glitches on it. I think it symbolizes how fragile and malleable our perceived reality really is. Uh, uh, and the other thing I really like was the childlike wonder compared to the adult skepticism that we see. It's like another Narnia story where where these kids escape into this fantasy world where they can fly and jump really high and do things that are impossible because of normal physics in the Matrix. I also like the escape from the mundane, the boring. At Mickey's house, in the streets, while she's looking for the cat. No, especially after the agents come in and close everything in, where they close down the house, and then the house is going to be a mall or something. They're building something new, and it builds this really short contrast with magic and imagination with the boring mundane. Um, um, Also, like it had weather changes. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. Sometimes it rained.
In the house, like it
Yeah,
rained in the house.
yeah, in specific parts of the house.
I didn't see that. At least
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
remember it.
I think it symbolized the unpredictability and how unstable the constructed reality of the Matrix is, and it did.
I want to ask you guys this, and I think everybody's had this experience. Have you ever had a dream about something that would happen in the future, and then it sort of kind of happens, and you remember that dream? Is anybody
Mm,
else? Oh wait, no! Please don't tell me that's only me. Come on now.
I've
Come
had
on.
similar things, but I don't know if it's like my brain making it up or if I really dreamed it because I forget my dreams.
Exactly. That might be a glitch in the matrix, right? And I think that goes back to your fabric of reality part, like how fragile reality is, or what time is, and our concept of time, right?
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, for sure.
actually,
Hmm. Yeah, I never had that happen to me because I also forget a lot of my dreams as well. But like for example, my friend, my best friend, it always happens to her. And like she tells me her dreams, and
mhm.
like 2 3 months later that stuff happens, or like something similar to that stuff happens. So yeah.
Right, right, right. Um, as far as the childlike wonder part of this, I think both of you, Ackley and Nelson, you were talking about how, like, this part of the film feels the most innocent, and it feels like the part that is the most, fun about the Matrix, because it does show some, maybe a part of the Matrix that could be more positive, right? Because all we see are the Smiths chasing down people and killing people. But if we think about it, the humans and AI could have a more enjoyable relationship, right? If they work together instead of enslaving each other.
Yes, even inside the Matrix.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe
and
there's a middle ground. Has anybody ever thought about it? Because the movie is sort of framed as either humans are enslaved or they're in the Matrix or they're out of the Matrix or something like that. But is there a middle ground? Could there be a reality where humans sort of live halfway in the Matrix, halfway in the real world, and can sort of choose how much time they spend in both? And the robots understand that. I don't know. Is that not a happy medium, or what does anybody think about that?
I don't want to go too forwards in the movie, but I think the last story, I think it was basically that
Mm,
where they
that
plug the machine inside the Matrix.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's. I don't know. We'll jump to that part. But actually, what do you think?
I just think for like what you said to happen, humans do have to overlook the fact that they would be energy sources.
Mm,
Because I think that's something that humans might not be able to accept.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know if that would happen, but yeah. Also, as Nelson said, I do think in the last part of it there was like some resolution, but it did ended up being sad. So yeah, maybe I don't know.
Right. Well, what?
also,
Go ahead.
um, I really liked like the glitches inside the house. More specifically, when she opens a door and it leads into like a great dark void. There's this kind of scary thing to it because it suggests, it appears that there are aspects of reality itself that are far beyond like human understanding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think there could also be aspects beyond the AI's understanding too?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think we spoke about this yesterday with Ava and stuff like that. Ava wouldn't think the same as us, and neither does the AI, right? Um, I don't think
Yeah,
the AI has a. What? Go ahead.
even inside the matrix, even inside the reality that the AI created, perhaps there are aspects of it that they themselves, the creators, can understand.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that was the reason why the one was created. Like the one is a part of the Matrix's system, right? Because I think the system sort of was created in a way to force itself to change and to force itself to give humans autonomy, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, let's jump ahead to the next one. It's the detective story. This is the story where basically one of the Smiths contacts this detective to hunt down Trinity, a computer hacker, and he pays him a bunch of money to do it. The guy goes on a mission, ends up finding Trinity, and Trinity ends up taking out something in his eye that was implanted in there to turn him into an agent for the Smiths. They try to escape the Smiths from kidnapping Trinity, but he ends up slowly becoming a Smith. Trinity escapes, and the guy ends up shooting a few Smiths before he's eventually killed. Uh, yeah, actually, did I get that story right?
Yeah, I think it's right. And yeah, at the end, but I don't know. At the end, he shoots also Mr. Smith's,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. He shoots a
Okay.
few of the bad guys.
Yeah, yeah.
What did you think about this one?
I mean, this was my least favorite one. It wasn't bad still, like it was good, but I don't know, it was just like different from the other ones, and I just felt like it was sort of put there to connect it with the other Matrix stories,
Hmm.
or at least like the original movie. So like we have like again Trinity and also like this Alice in Wonderland sort of references, which is I guess like also how um follow the white rabbit, right? Which is how like Neo found Trinity as well, or like found the Matrix as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess like I don't know what's the symbolism behind the story really. But yeah, it was okay for me, this one.
It's just okay. Nelson.
Uh, The same as Acne, basically. It was my least favorite. It was good, but compared to the other ones, it's not as good.
Mhm.
Um, it has cool steampunk like vibes. It's
Mhm.
cool film noir vibes.
Mhm.
Maybe if I was more familiar with those genres, I would
Mhm.
like, I don't know, like them a bit more.
Mhm.
But I thought it was good. I liked it, but not my favorite.
Yeah, I could say the same. It's definitely not my favorite. Still interesting to look at once again because of the animation. Like I'm gonna take Nelson's word. It's superb. Animation is superb, especially on capturing that film noir vibe with stencils and pencils. But yeah, this story sort of just drags along, and unless you're into detective Dick Tracy type of films, you're not going to really feel this one. Good to see a cameo from Trinity, but Acti and I were talking about this before we started the live stream. Like the Animatrix probably could have been a bit more compelling if instead of the detective story, we got the background on who Morpheus was before he left the Matrix, who Trinity was before she left the Matrix, and maybe a bit more background on how Zion came to be. Now, I'm sure the Matrix franchise has explained this in books and comic books and in video games and stuff like that, but it will be good to see on film, or at least in one of their big part of their series, if that makes sense. Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I gave you that sort of critique where I felt like after the history, like after the Renaissance parts, it felt a bit like a puzzle. Like there are like just different stories in different times of the Matrix, and it's just a bit like confusing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we talked about it, I guess it also gives us different like aspects of the Matrix. um I don't know, like in the world record, for example, it's about maybe a little bit about discovering the Matrix but not being able to get rid of it. And then I don't know, in kids story, you discover it but you have to die in the Matrix, or what you assume to be the real life. And in with the kids ones, it's like this more innocent side of the Matrix and things like that. So maybe it's like, I don't know, different characteristics of Matrix now that I think about it.
Yeah.
And this one was like maybe saying a little bit like, even if I'm in the Matrix or if I'm in the real life, in Zion or whatever, both places have struggles. There's no win situation.
Right. Right.
I don't know.
Nelson.
Um, I think about your idea. There's actually canon comic books where they are also anthologies where they explain um uh, Morpheus' origins, Trinity's origins. There's also stories about if there's aliens or not, and there's aliens in the Matrix universe, and very other stories that answer many other questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there aliens in the Matrix universe?
Yeah, there are.
Okay, that brings it to a whole nother dimension. Because are the aliens gonna be like, "What the hell is going on?" Imagine, imagine they come into somebody's house and they're like plugged into the blender, and the blender is telling them what to do. It's gonna be
Yeah,
like, "What the fuck happened
yeah.
here?" Oh God, oh God, that's crazy. But yeah. Also, one of the big plot holes in the Matrix. I'm gonna just say this before we get to the end. Humans are not a good source of energy. Like we do give off radiation and heat and stuff like that, but you can literally get more power just by geothermal, like putting a plug into the Earth's core. And I'm sure the robots had the ability to do this, but I think the robots are like, for lack of a better words, like coons, right? Like they're they're coons who don't know how to let go. Like they love massa so much, they just want to
Mhm.
be with massa all the time. And that's how I feel
Yeah.
like the film ends too. Like, oh massa, I loves you, massa. Please, massa, be my slave. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. Shall we get to the? Yeah, go ahead.
No, in the original script,
Mhm.
the original intention was to be that they're using our brains for or brain power for computer power.
Okay, okay. Still, well, that would make more sense. That makes much more sense because our brains are almost irreplicable, right? But
Yeah,
our energy. In fact, you know what? I think you're right because I think maybe the directors in Hollywood said, you know what, make it energy. The Americans are stupid. They won't get the brain part. You know. So
for sure, that's what happened. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
What the hell, Rubio? What the hell is this, man?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And energy is like a far more thing that we observe in everyday life.
yeah. We can understand it more. Oh, they're
Yeah.
using humans for oil. That makes sense. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
got it. All right. Shall we get to the last story?
Yes.
All right, last story. What was the name, Acty? Can you break it down for us?
It's called Matriculated.
Okay.
And yeah, it's basically it's one of the, okay, I don't know. There's a girl, like a warrior girl, and she's out there like in Zion, I guess. And she's supposed to hunt down some of the machines, and she captures like one of the machines, and she brings it to their like base. And in there, they like her friends are there, they clap for her, you did a great job. And they found out that the one they captured is like more advanced than the other machines. So they plug the machine up to the matrix or some sort of test thing with themselves as well. Everyone is like locked up and plugged in. And yeah, they basically go into the machine's mind and they try to convince the machine to see the good in people. And they get into like this very trippy ecstasy-ish like universe where there are like weird, humans. They are like making love at one point and then laughing and running away at another point, and all things like that.
Mm,
And at the end, the machine is like renewed, updated into loving the humans. It understands the humans again,
mhm,
and there's peace between them. But while that is happening, the base gets attacked by the other machines that are evil. And yeah, basically the machines kill all of the team except the first lady. And the good machine plugs the first lady into the matrix again, I guess, to keep her alive or of some sorts. And when the lady sees the machine in the matrix, she is afraid and she doesn't want to be with the machine, so she just like fades away. And then in reality, we see that she died, and then the good robot is just like by itself, loving humans, but it's like the only robot that loves the humans or something. And it's alone.
yeah, she runs away and screams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
Like her
interesting.
soul.
What's up?
It seemed like her soul.
Yeah, it's like her soul, but her soul in the AI matrix in between, right?
Yes.
Like in the same universe as that God, that deity we were talking about earlier. Uh,
Yeah.
I think I said this to you actually while we were watching this. It was like Autobot ayahuasca. Like the robot deconstructed itself and saw itself from the outside. It had a robot trip, a mechanical trip. I really like the scene where the skin of the robot peels off from its face and becomes like a new being. um, Very interesting because there had been no point in the Matrix where the robots got humanized or where the robots got some sort of sympathy towards them other than the Renaissance parts, and to see that ending where the robot is like, I want to be loved by the humans still reject them. It sort of feels like where we are now in this world, or at least how I feel about robots. I'll just speak about myself. Like, we like you, but we don't fuck with you like that. Like, y'all ain't friends. Like, we ain't homies. Like, you are a machine. And the machine is like, no, I'm here to serve you. I want to be your friend. Nelson?
Yeah. I really like this one. It was also one of the best shorts, I think. Uh, damn it. Um, I liked like when the the 3P animation. I like I thought it was a little bit deep when the doctor said that a machine wouldn't necessarily be able to differentiate between like uh reality and a simulation. They would just think this maybe this reality they would be in would be just another level to the simulation.
Mm.
I also like the attempt they did to, because it's kind of realistic, you know, like the attempt to how do you say,
Convince.
convince, maybe reform. I don't think
Convert.
convert. Yeah, that's the right word. To convert them to their side, but
Hmm.
trying to by trying to make the machine experience how humans experience things. You know, love, death, and all of that. Uh, it was kind of like how somebody trying to create a spy or something for for against the other side or something like that. But it was a machine. Um, and I really saw like the ending, you know, where he plugged her back in because he wanted to play with her more. Maybe he was even in love with her, but like there was something that maybe he doesn't have, or maybe he does have. We don't know, which is her soul, and her soul realizes something is not right, and it's just like it goes away. Uh, I thought it was very beautiful.
Mm. Yeah, it was a very interesting way to end the film, or at least this version of the film. You would think that the humans, instead of trying to create weapons of mass destruction in Zion or something like that, they would just try to create like a virus or some program to switch the robots over back to their side, right? But maybe that would be impossible. But you would think they would try to do this on a larger scale instead of individual robots. But it was an interesting way to try to fight back against the system, convert the robots to their side. It probably would have been very useful. Anybody?
Yeah, I think there is a conversation like that in the beginning of the scene where someone questions this technique, and then like their leader says something like, we're past that point where we're trying to win over the robots. What we should do is just like make them understand us or something like that, or
Hmm.
like get them on our side,
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, like whoever created the animation, the trippy animation part of this movie went blind, because like this was really cool. Like I don't know how they imagined all those things, like all those weird doors closing and opening and all the machines and how they looked. It was like
Ayahuasca.
just what?
Ayahuasca. That person went to Peru. That person licked the toad. They,
Yeah, I don't think I don't think like that could be done in a sober mind.
oh man.
But it was like just insane, like very trippy, which was cool. And yeah, I like this sort of solution where we're supposed to remind the robots of what is good about humanity. You know, we give birth, we have sex, we love, and those things kind of like what makes us human and what separates us from I guess,
Hmm.
to an extent. And that's why the AI also looks up to humans and they want to be like humans. That's why they showed up in the UN wearing a tie and like looking like a husband and a wife.
Right.
And those are the things that AI adores us for. But then we lost those things when we, wanted to dominate AI and just like abuse them and use them basically.
Right.
And I like the fact that they were going back to that.
But I would say that in this film, we use the word AI too loosely. Like we call every single robot here AI. But I would say that those are technically just machines that are doing the bidding of whatever AI is controlling them, right? Because this robot, even in the hallucination, as soon as he saw the humans, he was trying to kill them in the dream.
Hmm.
And it took a lot of convincing and tricking him to eventually see something else. I don't think that was an AI. I think in the Matrix film there is one supreme AI that has all the other sentinels and robots just doing the work at once.
I mean, they did say this one was a bit more advanced than the other ones
Mhm.
when they captured him. So maybe this one had some sort of AI and not the other ones.
Mhm.
Maybe the other ones were just like programmed to kill humans.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just, it also like when it strips down from being that classic robot,
Mhm.
it turns into human form.
Mhm.
Like it's still not human. It's like a weird tree human type of person,
Mhm.
but it has legs and arms and just like how a human would, and it has eyes.
Yeah.
And yeah, it goes to show, I feel like they see themselves really close to us, or at least that's what it used to be.
Right. Well, it probably can't imagine anything other than us because we're all that it knows, unless the
Yeah.
aliens come. And then the aliens come, that's a totally different story. But, you know, just to wrap all this up, to this idea about AI and what it is, I would say that something like the Matrix would never happen in real life because if artificial intelligence, true artificial intelligence, were created, it wouldn't be anything like these robots who all have one singular idea or belief. Because AKDI, you have intelligence, Nelson, you have intelligence, and I maybe have intelligence. But we all have different opinions, beliefs, different motives, different ways we interact in the world. And if true AI were created, there will be some robots that will be lazy, some robots that will be slutty, some robots that will be psychopathic, schizophrenic, all different types of intelligence. And not all the robots would just get on the side of wanting to enslave humans. They might have different motives or opinions, like how different humans have different motives and opinions. Actually,
Mm, yeah, but also these robots or AI that we would create, I feel like would serve a purpose. So unless we give them totally automatic consciousness, where they can like create other AI and stuff like that,
mhm.
what's the use of a lazy AI or a psychopathic AI? Like it serves no use to humankind
Of course, just
unless it's for like an experiment or something.
right. Well, like I'm saying, it might be if we gave it true consciousness like
Yeah.
us, we don't know what it would do.
But
We don't.
also,
Go ahead.
like how it was in the movie, they started creating more robots. Like the robots created more robots, but they were
Hmm.
still creating them like perfect machines, because that's the purpose of robots and AI, and it's to be perfect so it can help humans in the perfect way.
Right, and exactly those robots that the robots started creating didn't have the same thinking patterns we do. They had
Yeah.
a totally different way of looking at the world because they were created by a machine originally created by us. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like I said, like I feel like if it had true consciousness, it might be lazy in the sense like it wants to just sit on the couch all day and watch Netflix and chill, or
Yeah.
another one might want to become president. You know what I mean? There's so many different consciousness out there, and true AI would be, like us as humans.
Yeah.
But
I,
And
go
yeah,
ahead,
go
Nelson.
ahead.
I, I um I think just like the machines, we also struggle to sometimes, especially nowadays, to differentiate between reality and simulation. And
Hmm.
sometimes the simulation becomes our own very reality. For example, you know, imagine like a couple, a teenage couple, kissing for the first time, right?
Hmm.
Not knowing like how to kiss, maybe for lack of practice or something, they mimic a kiss like they saw in a movie, right?
Hmm.
And somebody else maybe watching that kiss also learns from watching that kiss who's mimicking from a movie. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And perhaps that movie itself, it's a fake kiss also. So it's like copying something. It's like copying a simulation that it isn't even real. It's like a veil that instead, like that hides the truth, which is there is no nothing behind the veil, which there is only the veil. and it's like a blurring between reality and simulation. Like for example, social media, right?
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not going to generalize, but a lot of people, they have a certain image they have on social media, right? You go on the profile, you have like pictures of them traveling, of them, I don't know, doing like kickboxing, or I don't know, doing something, right? And the social media page is a specifically curated page to transmit and project a certain image together, But what
Yeah.
happens,
So go
but
ahead.
what happens many times is that people themselves in real life try to mimic that fake image they created on those social media pages.
So it's like art imitating like life or whatever, right?
Well, it's like,
Or life imitating art.
do you remember the first Matrix?
Yeah, parts of it. Yeah.
There's a scene where's basically where Morpheus explains what the Matrix is to
Hmm.
Neo, and he mentions the desert of reality,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's a mention to a literary work by Jorge Luis Borges.
Hmm.
I think he was a Latino American. No, he was a Latino writer, very very good, very cool writer, in which there
Hmm.
was a story where there was a great civilization, right?
Hmm.
And there was the map, and the civilization created just right above it. They created a map which looked exactly like the civilization they had down below, right?
Hmm.
When the civilization fell, the map also, which was a simulation of the the real civilization, also fell, right? Also went wrong.
Hmm.
But in real life, what many time happens is that the real civilization imitates the map, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, to the point where there is no more real civilization. There is only the map.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting. So like we become the image that we have put out there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Interesting.
And we create a fake image, basically. Yeah, and we
Interesting.
became simulations ourselves.
Mm. Interesting. That takes it to another thing. Like, we are living in a simulation, yes, but it's not some digital computer. We're living in a copy of the type of reality that we imagined or that we have projected. Man, this has gone too deep. This has gone way too deep.
And
Um, yeah,
if you
go
if you
ahead.
look at the TV, we are constantly fed simulations, like
Hmm.
specifically, like look at the news. The news, they're not reality, they're a certain projection, a certain framework of reality. And there's ads who also project a certain framework of reality. Eat
Yeah.
this, a burger and you'll be happy. There's also music, who makes you feel certain kinds of feelings. A lot of
Mm.
what we consume, a lot of what we yeah, a lot we consume is synthetic in a form. A lot of
Interesting.
the way we shape ourselves in reality.
Interesting. Fascinating. Fascinating to talk about. This is the danger of reviewing AI movies because you can go down these rabbit holes forever. But we got to wrap it up because I got to get back to some things. I'm sure Acti's got stuff to do. But Acti, what did you think of the film overall? What would be your score? Final thoughts? Go ahead.
I liked it more as we talked about it, and Nelson like gave some pretty good ideas, and you also gave some pretty good ideas. Because I'm not that into like the Matrix universe. Like I said, I watched it in high school,
Hmm.
but it's always fascinating to talk about and think about AI. And I do think this movie had like some good animations.
Hmm.
So my overall score is like an 8.
Like an eight? Okay.
Yes.
All right, my score would be a bit higher. This was one of those movies I remember vividly seeing as a young person that stuck with me throughout life. Definitely a movie I highly suggest people see at least once, even if it's just a few of the shorts like Renaissance Part 1 and 2. Um, yeah, I give it a 9 overall. Great animation, great storytelling, very important to the Matrix universe. And the Matrix is by far one of the most fascinating franchises that ever existed. I would say better than Star Wars, better than Star Trek, better than Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. It's probably the most interesting franchise. And yeah, 9.5, something like that. It's up there. Nelson?
Well, yeah, it's one of my favorites. I love it. It's a 10.
10. Okay. 10. Perfect. Okay. Perfect score. Perfect score. Well, this has been episode 50 of Simon and Acting Movie Reviews. This has been a fan request. If you got any more movies you want us to review, leave a comment, send it to us on X, leave a comment under the YouTube video if you're listening to this. Follow us on Spotify, Cinema Crossroads. And remember, $50 to anybody. $50 can be yours. I will send it to you. All you got to do is send me the link to whatever, the image of that robot ripping that man's penis out in the Animatrix. It does exist. It's the DVD version. I don't care where you find it. Send it to me, and you got that. That's yours. All right. But my name's Simon Hill, and peace.